Okay, congratulations, guys. You guys have successfully reached the end of section one. So I'm just going to go over a brief conclusion of what you guys have learned and what we have went over. So, what did we cover in section one? Well, the first thing we went over was the jQuery introduction. What is jQuery? Again, all jQuery is just a extremely large, extensive JavaScript library with added functions that we can write less code and do a whole lot more within our web pages. And this is a great benefit versus using the old style JavaScript. Instead of writing a bunch of code to perform little actions, we can simply write specific small pieces of code to perform large functions and tasks. Now, getting started. In the getting started section, we've learned how to download and add the jQuery library to our web page. Again, in this course, I've just downloaded the jQuery script as a hard-coded file, but there's two different ways that you can use the jQuery library. And again, what we've done was download the jQuery library just for this course and testing purposes. Now, the second method is to just use Google's version of their jQuery library. So you can reference it from their server instead of downloading it to your actual device or your computer and installing it inside of your web page. And the big benefit of using Google's version is because that it's cached once you load it, and it'll always be updated, so you don't have to manually hard code it inside your web page. But again, just for testing purposes in this sample, I've just shown you how to download the hard copy of the JavaScript library in case you want to build offline web applications. So that's a big advantage of downloading the hard code JavaScript file that's with jQuery. You can use it for offline, and if your clients or your users don't have an internet connection, you can build offline web applications and still be able to use the jQuery library, which I do. So next we learned the jQuery syntax. And again, the only thing about the jQuery syntax is that we're just selecting HTML elements and we're manipulating them. And like I said again, we're just selecting and manipulating HTML elements. That's all that jQuery syntax does. And again, we're calling jQuery functions to perform actions on those HTML elements that we select. And with these actions, they call jQuery functions, and they manipulate the HTML elements that we select on. So next, getting to know the jQuery selectors. We went over three primary and easy selectors that jQuery uses, also known by CSS as well. So the ID selector just uses the hash symbol followed by the name of the ID on that HTML element. And the class selector uses a dot followed by the class name. And for the last is just the element tag name if you want to perform an action on all of those elements with the same element name as well. And lastly, we learned how to use a small portion of the jQuery event. So again, we perform some actions when something happened. So when something happens on an HTML element, we want it to do something. For example, again, if we create a button, or a real live example, if we was to create a input field, a text box, and we want to be notified if it gains focus. So once the user clicks inside the text box and begins to start typing, we can be notified of that. So again, it just notifies us that something has happened on your web page. So we're going to jump into section 2, and I'll see you guys in section 2.